Welcome to Align Christ-Centered Yoga. My name is Linda and I'll be guiding our practice today. My question for you today as you begin is, what is it that keeps you from getting trapped in the snares of this life? I was reading through the devotion book Streams in the Desert, and the author says this to us: a brightly colored bird is safest when in flight. It's spring in the mid-Atlantic here, and every morning I'm awakened by a chorus of birds. I also have a cat who likes to hover in low-lying areas just in case one of those birds swoops too low. A brightly colored bird is safest in flight. The author says this: if its nest is near the ground, or if it flies too low, it exposes itself to the hunter's net or trap. In the same way, if we cower in the lowlands of feelings and emotions, we will find ourselves entangled in 1,000 nets of doubt, despair, temptation, and unbelief. Proverbs 1:17 says, "How useless to spread a net where every bird can see." And the psalmist in Psalm 42 says this: "Why are you cast down, O my soul? And why are you in turmoil within me? Hope in God, for I shall again praise him, my salvation and my God." Today's practice will focus on releasing the tension in the hamstrings, the shoulder girdle, the neck, places in our body where we often hold on to the angst of our emotions. And I invite you today instead to focus on the hope that you have in this God that wants you to fly. I invite you to come to a comfortable seated position, finding your sitting bones, anchoring a little bit, rocking a little bit side to side, front and back, and anchoring into where those two bones connect with the block or the mat. I invite you to consider elevating the hips up onto a block or a blanket. Just helps release the hips a little bit if you are at all tight. And you can sit comfortably. Maybe your legs are behind you, heels slightly out to the side, maybe crossed in front of you. Close your eyes. Let the day fade away. Maybe in your mind's eye you can see beautiful birds. Maybe you can hear them. What does it feel like for you to fly? How do you stay above the traps of this life? Begin to notice your breath, the way that it naturally moves through your body, rising and falling, feeling the breath come down the body with the inhale, up with the exhale. As you inhale, feel the lengthening of the spine. Maybe the top of the head reaches a little higher. The jaw draws parallel to the floor. And exhaling, maybe those hips get a little heavier. The belly draws in and up. The rib cage knits together and draws back towards the spine. Take 2 more breaths here and notice any sensations in the body today where you may feel a little tight or tense, where you might want to modify your practice in order to do what's best for your body. Gently let the chin come down towards the chest. Feel the release in the back of the neck, maybe across the shoulders and the upper back, maybe down between the shoulder blades. And gently draw the right shoulder to your ear and the chin forward. And the left shoulder to your ear and the chin forward. And back and forth here a few times. Next time that ear comes to the right, leave it there and maybe realign the spine if you find yourself leaning towards that side. And how much space can you create between the ear and the shoulder on the opposite side? Gently begin to make a figure 8 with your nose. And checking in, notice all the sensations in the neck and the shoulder and find that stretch that's best for you on this side. If you want a little more, maybe that left hand reaches out to the side. Maybe that right arm comes up and, very, very gently draws the neck into a deeper stretch. Exhaling, bring the hands back down, the chin forward again. Take a breath here. And as you're ready, take that left ear to the left shoulder. From here again, make that number 8 with your nose. And find the stretch on this side, and it might be in a very different place on this side. What feels best here? And maybe this is enough, but if you want more, maybe that right arm comes out to the side. And that left arm comes up and over and just gently adjust the head into your stretch. Find your breath. As you're ready, let the arms come down and the chin comes forward. Take a nice deep breath in. Bring the arms up, interlacing the fingers. Let the palms press up and draw the shoulders all the way up towards the ears, and then let the shoulders glide down and just gently look up and down. Again, just noticing range of motion. What feels good today? What feels tight? Work within your range of motion. And as you're ready, let the hands come down. Go ahead and come off the block. If you have blocks or props, bring them towards the front edge of the mat. Fingers spread wide, meet me in table. Wrists directly underneath the shoulders, knees directly underneath the hips. Smack through the tops of the feet. Press into the feet. Press into the edges, outside edge of the hand. And at the base of the first finger, pinky finger, and each side of the wrist. From here, exhale into cat, rounding up. Inhale into cow. Chest coming through the arms. Draw the gaze up. Back and forth here, cat to cow. And one more time here. And then as you're ready, go ahead and meet me back in table. Gently draw that right shoulder towards the right hip and the left shoulder towards the left hip. And back and forth here. Bring that right shoulder to the hip. Extend that left leg back. Press through the heel and then bring that leg across the other ankle. Come to the outside edge of that foot. Adjust that left hip. Maybe it comes a little forward or back, up or down. And draw the shoulder towards the hip, the gaze towards the foot. And stay here for a breath. Then exhaling, release, and find the stretch on the other side. So draw shoulder to hip, extend that right leg back, heel presses back and comes across the hip. Again, adjust the hip. That right hip rises and falls. Small movements make a difference. Front and back, up and down. Then gaze over the shoulder towards the foot and find breath. As you're ready, come back to center. 3 times, draw your hips back into child's pose. Extend and lengthen through the spine with the exhale. And rise into table and find strength. And as you press down with the hands and the legs, can you feel the body rise up? So child to table twice more, finding your breath and your pace with that breath. Meeting me back in table, go ahead and turn those right fingertips towards the center of the mat. Sweep the left arm all the way up. And exhaling, bring the hand underneath, shoulder towards the mat. And back and forth here a few times. Arm rising and falling, moving with breath. As you're ready, settle the shoulder and the head down. Begin to find your stretch. So maybe that arm is up, hand at the sacrum or behind, or maybe the arm is extended forward and that feels better for you today. So what's best for you in this moment? And find your stretch here. And then as you're ready, unwind. Press into the hand, rise into table, and again, child to table. And find the twist on the other side. So now the left fingertips turn in, the right arm rises high. Exhale, under. Back and forth here 2 more times. Can you move from the center out, using those oblique muscles in the abdominals to wrap the body around? And as you're ready, again, coming into shoulder and head and finding the stretch that's good for you, keeping some distance between ear and shoulder here. And decide, maybe that top arm rises and hand comes to the small of the back or around. Or maybe it's better for you today for that arm to reach to the front of the mat. Find your pose and find your breath. As you're ready, unwind. Hands come underneath the shoulders. Meet me back in table. Pressing into that right hand, bring the left arm forward. Right elbow comes back towards the hips and look underneath the extended arm. And so again today, just looking for this release in the neck, looking for release maybe under the armpit there, in that shoulder girdle. Maybe for you, you find a release up and down this side of the body. Taking a deep breath in, switch sides, rise up. Left wrist underneath the shoulder, right arm reaches towards the front edge of the mat. Left elbow comes back towards the knee, and as you look under, drop the hips back and find that stretch. And find your breath. Taking a deep breath in, wrists come over the shoulders. Go ahead and curl the toes underneath and draw the knees into the rib cage. Let the head drop down and shake it out. No and yes. And begin to pedal through your feet. Just moving your hips side to side, opening up and down the side of the body. What do you notice in the legs today, in the arms or the shoulder girdle, in the neck? Maybe particularly now thinking about those hamstrings, lifting the heels up, letting the heels come down towards the mat, bending the knees as much as you need to find a nice release in the lower back and the hamstrings. On that next inhale, draw the gaze forward and float that right foot up in between the hands. Let that back knee tap down and up. So back and forth here a few times, opening up across the front of the hip. As you're ready, let that back knee come down. I invite you to find blocks if that is better for you. Hands on either side of that front foot. Begin to find the hamstring stretch here. And just noticing, for you as you come into this, how much do you want to extend that leg? Tension, but not struggle. Are the sensations in the hamstring or in the hip? Can you draw those hips straight back, finding stability in the hips? So as you're ready, extend through that front leg. Find the stretch that's right for you. Relax the shoulders, extend the spine, and fold over the leg. Take a little longer on that exhale as you feel those muscles warm and lengthen. Gently bring the front knee over the ankle, raise the back leg up, hands to either side of the foot, meet me in plank. From plank, slowly come down to the mat, maybe coming to the knees first and coming down in a kneeling plank. And forearms to the mat, rise up into Sphinx pose and exhale down. So back and forth here a few times, feeling the muscles of the chest pull up and through the arms, collarbone lifts towards the sky. One more time here. Come into Sphinx pose and stay here and begin to activate it, pressing into the tops of the feet, pressing into the forearms, finding breath. And exhaling, come down, hands to rib cage, hips to heels. And rise back up into table. Maybe the toes, fingers turn slightly out as the toes curl under and meet me in downward dog. Settle into downward dog, noticing the effects of that sequence on the body. Do you notice a difference? One more breath here. Drawing the gaze forward, engaging the abdominals, float the foot through the hands. If it doesn't get there, you can just pick it up and help it. Back knee taps down and up. As you're ready, that back knee comes down to the mat. Find the stretch in the hip, top of the foot to the mat. Again, hands on either side of the foot. Begin to straighten and bend the front leg. As you're ready, keep that leg extended. Again, finding the stretch, the bend that's right for you. Squaring the hips towards the back of the mat. As you inhale, lengthen through the spine. As you exhale, fold the body over the leg. Shake the head out, no and yes. One more breath here. Finding release with breath. As you're ready, front knee over the ankle. Go ahead and move any blocks that you have off to the side. Raise that back knee up. This time lift hips to sky and float that back foot forward, meeting me in forward fold. So knees deeply bent, rib cage touching thighs. Hold on to the elbows. Begin to find that length in the spine as the back of the head reaches towards the mat. And gently turn the body side to side. As you feel the heaviness of the head, can you find the stretch in the neck? Can you find release in the muscles of the lower back? Hands to the mat or to the blocks, begin to gently lift and lower the hips and find the hamstring stretch that's right for you. So those legs will be a little bit soft. Just finding the lengthening of the muscles. And hands to shins, rise up halfway. Exhale down. And pressing through your feet, come all the way up to mountain pose. Hands to heart. Stay here in mountain, feet hip width apart. Bring your thumb and middle finger together. Bring those to your elbows. Bring the elbows or shoulders. This is a shoulder. Elbows are out to the side. Gently bring the elbows together and out. How does that feel across the upper back? What's your range of motion? Maybe the elbows don't touch. That's okay. And then interlacing the fingers, go ahead and bring those hands behind the base of the skull and just gently push up a little bit as the hands press into the head and the head presses into the hands, and then rotate towards upper body twist to the right. Maybe that right elbow lifts up a little bit. Maybe that left arm comes down and around for more of a stretch. Maybe you don't need that. And as you're ready, release and bring both hands down. I invite you to cup your palms. Turn the hands inside out as the palms come together and around. Come all the way up. Interlace the fingers awkwardly this time, hands right at the base of the skull. Anchor in, press down with your feet. Upper body twist to the left. And the elbows rise. And then that right, I'm getting my right and left mixed up today. Right arm is going to drop. The lower arm will drop. And just bring it all the way around if you want more. As you're ready, release. Again, just cupping the palms, turning the hands inside out, come all the way up. And exhale, hands come wide as you forward fold. Hands to shins, rise up halfway. Exhale down, one leg back and then the other. Meet me in plank. And from plank, find your way down to the mat. Maybe you're still in a low plank, or maybe you're in grasshopper or chaturanga. Find your back bend, sphinx or low cobra or upward facing dog. And meet me in downward dog. And check in, again, just noticing the effects of that sequence. What do you notice? Body, mind, and soul. On the next inhale, right leg rises to the sky. Extend through the leg, draw the gaze forward, and then engaging the abdominals, float that foot through. Rise up into lunge. Settle in lunge. Bring the arms out to the side and twist towards the inside of that leg as you drop the back arm and lift the front, looking over that shoulder. Exhaling, cartwheel both hands to either side of that foot. Again, maybe using a block. Go ahead and bring that back foot halfway up and begin to roll through your feet, coming into a pyramid pose here. As you're ready, both feet come flat to the mat. Bend that front leg as much as you need to and find your stretch. And shake your head out, no and yes. Moving any props that you have off to the side. Go ahead and bring that back foot to the front. Find your forward fold. This time, hands come to the heels and gently just draw in the sand as you go back and forth here with the upper body. Back of the head reaches towards the mat. And find your forward fold. Maybe lifting and lowering the hips a little bit too as you find the stretch you want for your hamstrings. Gently drop the hips and rise up into your chair pose. Settle here in chair for one breath. Inhale, rise high. Exhale, forward fold. And hands to shins, come up halfway and exhale down. And again, finding your plank and breathing your way down to the mat. That exhale as you come down. That inhale into your back bend. Curling the toes under, meeting me in downward facing dog. And stay here and find breath. And the next inhale, the left leg rises high. Gaze forward, float the foot through the hands. Back knee or back leg comes up halfway. Nope, sorry about that. Go ahead and come into a lunge. Back leg stays behind you. Anchor into that front leg. Find your balance. So to find balance, draw the belly in and up a little bit. Find your focal point in front of you. And raise that back thigh up a little bit towards the sky, pressing through the heel. Hands come out to the side. Go ahead and pivot to the inside of that leg. Drop the back arm, lift the front. Find breath. And cartwheel the hands down to either side of the foot. Now that back foot comes up halfway. Begin to roll back and forth here. Remember always, perfection not required. Yoga is a practice. So how much is that front leg bent? What's right for you today in this moment? What do you need to do for your wrists? Maybe you make a fist. Maybe your hands are flat on the mat. Maybe you have a block. Can you shake your head out no and yes and release any remaining tension in the neck? And that next inhale, go ahead and bring that hips up and that back foot forward. Find your forward fold. Sinking hips, rise up into chair pose. And from chair, right hand to the small of the back, engage through the abdominals, drop the shoulders a half an inch. Bring that left arm across as you twist and come to the outside of that thigh. And find breath here. Find stretch here. And come to center, hands to heart, and bring the hands all the way down in between the feet and rise up. And come back into your chair pose. And the left hand will come to the small of the back. And the right arm will come across. And find your twist to this side. And how is it different than it was on the other side? As you're ready, release and come to center, and hands come all the way down and all the way up, and meet me in mountain. And exhale, find your forward fold. And hands to shins, rise up halfway, and exhale down, and one leg back, and then the other, and meet me in plank. And from plank, how are you coming down to the mat today? What is your back bend? And as you're ready, meet me in downward facing dog. And find breath. And shake your head out no and yes. And the next inhale, the right leg rises high. Drawing the gaze forward, bring the foot in between the hands. Bring that back foot to the outside edge of the mat. Settle here. Find warrior one stance as you rise up. So the hips are wide. That back foot is angled forward. Hips are squared towards the front of the mat. stance is wide. Go ahead and bring the arms out to the side. You're going to bring this right arm underneath the left. Let the elbows rise as the forearms come away from the face. Engaging through the abdominals. If you're comfortable with it, I invite you to bow forward. And rise up into a back bend. And find what's right for you. Back and forth here. Again, just noticing all the different responses of the body, making those adjustments as you go. And then deep breath in, arms rise. Exhale, hands to heart. Back foot comes up to meet the front. Meet me in mountain pose. Stay here for a breath. Notice right side compared to left. What do you notice? Body, mind, and soul. Taking a deep breath in, arms rise, exhaling. Hinge from the hips and come forward to the mat. Hands to shins, rise up halfway, extending head to one wall, hips to the other. Exhale down, meet me in plank. And from plank, come down towards the mat. Rising up into an upward facing dog, curling the toes, or whatever your back bend is, curling the toes under, meet me in downward dog. Stay here for one more breath, noticing. Checking in. Taking a deep breath in, left leg rises high. Gaze comes forward, foot comes through the hands. Let that back foot come to the outside edge of the mat, angled slightly forward. Rise up into your lunge. So you're in warrior one here. Again, hips are rotated forward slightly. Pressing through the foot. Press into the outside edge of that foot. Hands come out to the side. Left arm comes underneath the right. Elbows rise. Forearms come a little bit away from the face. Engage through the abdominals and bow forward. And rise up. And two more times here. And as you're ready, let those arms come all the way up and hands to heart. And bring the back foot forward and meet me in mountain. And take a deep breath here. From mountain, bring the arms up and sink into chair. And again, coming into twists on either side. Maybe a high twist like we did before, or if you are going for a lower twist, hands to heart, hinge forward from the hips, and then find that upper body twist as the left arm comes to the outside of the right leg. You stack the shoulders, engage the muscles of the upper back and the oblique muscles of the abdominal wall. Exhaling, hands come down, rise back up again. Come back and find your chair pose. So you're sinking the hips. Spine is in neutral position, engaging the abdominals. So that belly button drawing in and up just a little bit. Hands to heart. Find your twist. Maybe hinging forward, coming across. Maybe you're in a higher twist. Maybe the palms are pressed together, or maybe you have some wrist issues, and so that fist, bottom hand is in a fist, and the top hand is just resting lightly on top of it. What's right for your body? As you're ready, come back to center. One final time, rise all the way up into mountain. Hands to heart, final mountain pose, check in. What do you notice? How are the feet connected? How does the body feel, right side compared to left? Can you feel your heartbeat? Do you live your life anchored in the hope of all that God has for you? Taking a deep breath in, interlace the fingers behind. Open up across the chest a little bit. Maybe find a back bend. And then raise the shoulders back over the hips, bending the knees. I invite you to hinge forward again, rib cage to thighs. Let the head come down and the arms rise up to the sky. Again, just noticing what's going on in that shoulder girdle today. What feels good here? Where do you need to be careful? Maybe you're not even raising your arms, right? Maybe your hands are at the small of your back. What's right for you? And then as you're ready, release and let those hands come down. Find breath. Hands to shins, rise up halfway. Exhale down, meet me in plank. Find a strong plank, straight leg, or on your knees for 3 breaths. Engage the muscles of the body. Engage the muscles of the feet as the heels press back. Feel the work in the quadriceps, drawing the knees towards the hips. Feel the work in the core muscles of the abdominals and the back. The arms from wrist to elbow and elbow to shoulder. And then draw down to knees, child to table twice. Exhaling into child. Inhaling to table. One more time here. And find your child's pose and stay there. And adjust it. So maybe the knees are a little wider or a little narrower. Maybe the arms are in front of you or behind, maybe holding onto the feet or palms up. What feels best for you today? As you settle here, I invite you to think about when you most recently felt free. What were the circumstances of that? And how was God at work? As you're ready, bring those hands underneath the shoulders and slowly rise up to sitting. Bring the feet in front of you and take them a little bit wide and gently let the knees come down side to side. Go ahead and bring those feet forward a little bit, come down onto your back. And draw the knees in and gently roll side to side, massaging the muscles on either side of the spine. Hands to knees, gently push the knees away and draw them back into the rib cage a couple of times here. And as you're ready, go ahead and bring the feet down to the mat and extend. And just find a neutral position of the spine. And if it feels better to bend your knees a little bit, You can put a blanket underneath the knees or a pillow under the knees, or you can bend the knees with the feet on the mat. Go ahead and bring your hands up and stack one arm on top of the other and bring the hands elbow to elbow. And gently just bring the shoulders or the elbows to one side of the body and then the other. And begin to add movement to the head. So you're going to look away from the elbow as it comes to one side, back and forth here. And then as you're ready at center, I invite you just to bring both of those arms behind you. And just notice what feels good and go as far as you are comfortable going. Take a breath here. And then exhaling, come back up and stack with the other arm on top. So same sequence, elbows come down to one side and the other. Notice range of motion. Begin to turn the head side to side, moving from one side to the other, back and forth. And as you're ready, come to center. And then from here again, coming overhead to wherever your arms go. And exhaling, bringing them up. Draw hands towards the sky. Gently raise that left shoulder up and let it thump down. Right arm rises up. Let that shoulder thump. Both at once. Arms reach. Shoulders thump. And arms just softly come down to the side. Palms up. Gently turn the head from the top of one ear up and over to the top of the other. Meeting me at center here. And find your breath. As you settle into Shavasana today, I invite you to embrace the feeling of flight, freedom, feeling yourself moving with the Holy Spirit, lifted and guided by God, above the snares and traps of this world. Gently reconnect to your breath, coming back to this time and place, noticing the way that your body has settled into the mat. And gently begin to bring movement back, wiggling fingers and toes, rotating wrists and ankles, turning your head side to side. And that next inhale, bring arms up and overhead and just reach as long as you can, fingers to one wall and toes to the other. And then as you're ready, bend your knees and slowly come over onto your side, supporting your head with your arm. Gently pressing into your hands, rise up to a sitting position. Eyes still closed if you're comfortable with that. Crossing the legs in front of you, finding your sitting bones. And check in one final time, body, mind, and soul, remembering how you felt when you came to the mat today, noticing where you are now. Taking a deep breath in, arms rise up and overhead, palms together, and exhale, hands to heart, finding breath. Joining me in prayer. Holy God, we thank you so much for the life that you have planned for us. We know that sometimes we get caught up in emotions and feelings, and it is easy to lose hope. So we thank you for this time and this reminder that you are always with us, that you know the path in front of us, and that it is from you that we get our strength. It is in the name of Jesus the Christ that we pray. Amen. Thank you for practicing with me today.